The year 1976 was a pivotal one in modern history, marked by events that would have significant political, cultural, and scientific impacts still felt today. Facts First History presents the most historic events of 1976. Major worldwide events. The year was marked by tragedy such as the devastating earthquake in Tangshan, China, which left over 240,000 people dead in July. In South Africa, the notorious Soweto Uprising, where thousands of black students protested apartheid, sent shockwaves throughout the world. These students were met with brutal police repression that claimed hundreds of lives and came to symbolize the injustice of the apartheid system. 1976 saw milestones like the unveiling of the first liquid crystal display by watchmaker Seiko and the launch of Apple I, the first computer designed by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. Major U.S. events. Within the U.S., the most impactful event in '76 was the election of Jimmy Carter, a soft-spoken peanut farmer and governor of Georgia, who embodied drastic change from politics as usual. The nation was weary after the Watergate scandal and losses in Vietnam, seeking honesty and virtue in leadership again. Carter emphasized his religious devotion and small-town appeal to promote a new era of morality to heal the country. While his presidency later faced difficulties like economic stagnation, the significance of his election to restore faith in the highest office continued reverberating for decades. Popular music. The pop culture landscape of '76 featured memorable tunes and dances that still echo through the ages. The funk and soul hits of the time best represent the top musical performers and songs. Stevie Wonder solidified his legend status with timeless favorites like Sir Duke and I Wish, while the OJs released their iconic celebratory song Love Train. Donna Summer dominated the dance floors and charts with pulsating disco beats in songs like Love to Love You Baby. The second annual Rock Music Awards named Fleetwood Mac as Band of the Year following their widely celebrated, ultra-successful album Fleetwood Mac. Best New Artist went to pop rock duo The Starland Vocal Band, best known for their Billboard #1 hit songs Afternoon Delight. In the realm of dance, The Bump took the world by storm, popularized by its frequent appearances in '70s nightclub scenes in movies and TV shows. Environmental and social movements. The '70s marked a defining era in ecological awakening in campaigns against injustice around civil rights, women's rights, war, and more. 1976 in particular saw momentum gaining around opposition to nuclear proliferation with protests against nuclear missile testing, over concerns regarding radioactive fallout and environmental damage. Advocacy around conservation and wilderness preservation also came to the forefront with the passing of the Federal Land Policy and Management Act to better steward public land resources. On the gender equality front, major movements picked up heat following the UN's declaration of 1975 as International Women's Year. Marches for ratification of the Equal Rights Amendment continued, abortion rights activism intensified in the wake of the Roe v. Wade 1973 ruling, and pioneering organizations like the National Black Feminist Organization made strides in intersecting social justice causes impacting minority women. Sports highlights. The Summer Olympic Games held in Montreal, Canada, bear significance as the first Olympics to be boycotted, with 28 African nations abstaining in protest of the International Olympic Committee's refusal to ban New Zealand, whose rugby team had toured apartheid South Africa. Women's sports gained new recognition as figure skater Dorothy Hamill and the Soviet women's gymnastics team became breakout stars with their record-setting Olympic performances to take gold. In boxing, the legendary Thrilla in Manila saw Muhammad Ali defeat Joe Frazier in the final duel of their iconic rivalry. While bitterly contested from start to finish, Ali ultimately claimed victory in a technical knockout during the epic 15th round. Football also created a sensation as the NFL expanded by adding the Seattle Seahawks to the AFC West and Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the NFC Central. Global political dynamics. Tensions simmering from the ongoing Cold War heavily influenced 1976's global political arena. Fidel Castro solidified close ties with the Soviet Union leadership by working support for Cuban intervention in the Angolan Civil War. This communist backing of the left-wing People's Movement for the Liberation of Angola against Western support for other factions intensified Cold War rivalries in African nations. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger led diplomatic negotiations regarding majority rule and restructuring plans intended to eventually end white minority rule in Rhodesia. Aspects of Middle Eastern geopolitics also transformed, particularly with Syria ending its military presence in Lebanon, where troops had been stationed since the start of the Lebanese Civil War intended to maintain peace. But bloody clashes there raged on following their departure. Literature and publishing. The literary world welcomed fresh voices and perspectives in '76, elevating multicultural works. Iranian novelist Mohammad Reza Bayrami's controversial book Tangsir highlighted rural life in his homeland while challenging authority. Jamaican-born British author Carl Phillips garnered praise for The Final Passage. Renowned fantasy author Anne McCaffrey captivated sci-fi fans with her novel The White Dragon, extending her beloved Dragon Riders of Pern series. Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein of The Washington Post also made waves, releasing the book The Final Days, chronicling the conclusion of the Nixon presidency in the wake of Watergate. Popular toys. Kids in 1976 enjoyed iconic toys that inspired imagination and set trends for decades to come. One of the biggest toy crazes was for dramatic role-play masks and costumes of popular superheroes or movie characters. Top favorites included Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, Star Wars, and Kiss costumes. The year also introduced enduring toy lines like Capsella building sets with plastic pieces to construct vehicles, structures, animals, or anything kids envisioned. On the gaming front, early electronic and video games gained steam. Coleman created the world's first electronic basketball game, called the basketball game, where players could choose different skill levels. Milton Bradley launched Simon, the circular flashing light memory game that enticed kids for generations. For outdoor fun, Slip and Slide by Whammo brought thrilling summer hijinks by letting kids slide along a thin water stream on plastic mats. The cost of common goods. In 1976, the average cost of common household goods and food items included loaf of bread, 33 cents, a gallon of milk, $1.44, a gallon of gas, 59 cents, a movie ticket, $2.13, a dozen eggs, 99 cents, average monthly rent, $220, a new car, $4,700, a new house, $47,200. While these prices seem extremely inexpensive by today's standards due to inflation, these figures represented typical costs American consumers contended with during that economic period. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your most potent memory from 1976? Let us know in the comments section below.